The deadbolt slid home with a heavy, metallic thunk. It was a definitive sound. Final. I stood in the foyer, the new key cold in my palm. Outside, the afternoon sun was starting to dip, casting long shadows across the manicured lawn. The day was ending, but my life was just beginning. I walked to my car, the gravel crunching under my shoes, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt like I could actually breathe. For the first time in 2 years, I felt alive. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you. 6 months ago, this would have been unthinkable. My life was a fortress of stability. At 63, after a lifetime of building, stability was a luxury I cherished. I was a senior logistics manager at a shipping firm, a job I'd held for 25 years. It wasn't glamorous, but it was predictable. It paid the bills and then some. It bought this house. It funded a comfortable life for my wife, Nora. Our marriage, 32 years running, was built on the same foundation: predictability. I woke at 6 a.m., always before her. I'd go downstairs, start the coffee in the Cuisinart we bought on a trip to Chicago, and read the financial news. The aroma of the coffee was the real start to my day. Nora would come down at 7 a.m. on the dot. Her mug, with 1 teaspoon of sugar and a splash of milk, would be waiting. "Morning, Eli," she'd murmur, kissing my cheek. We'd sit at the breakfast nook, toast and jam between us, and discuss the trivialities of our world. The weather, the neighbors, the plans for the weekend. I mistook this comfortable silence for intimacy. At 8 a.m. I left for work. At 6 p.m. I returned. Nora would be in the living room, watching a game show or talking on the phone with one of her friends. "How was your day?" she'd ask. "Fine, busy," I'd reply. We had an arrangement. I handled weekend cooking, she handled weekdays. It worked. Friday nights were our sacred ritual. We'd drive to Giovanni's, a cozy Italian spot downtown. Red checkered tablecloths, Chianti, and the owner who always remembered my name. I'd get the veal piccata, she'd get the linguine alle vongole. We'd talk, we'd laugh. Looking back, I can't remember a single thing we talked about. The first tremor hit 4 months ago. It was small, almost imperceptible. Nora, who had always been present, became surgically attached to her phone. It was always in her hand, on her lap, or screen up on the table. A small smile would touch her lips as she typed. A smile I hadn't seen directed at me in years. "Who are you texting?" I asked one night, trying to sound casual. "Just Yvonne," she replied, not looking up. "She's planning her daughter's bridal shower. It's a logistical nightmare." Then came the new activities. Suddenly, Nora was on the board of a new local charity. This meant charity dinners that ran late. Then a book club started, composed of women I'd never heard of. "We're reading serious literature, Eli," she'd said. "You'd be bored." Her wardrobe changed. The comfortable blouses and slacks were replaced by more youthful, form-fitting dresses. She bought a new perfume, something expensive and musky, a scent that didn't smell like her. "Is that new?" I asked one evening, gesturing to a silk blouse. "This old thing? I've had it for ages, Eli. You just don't pay attention." Her tone was sharp, defensive. I backed off. A man is supposed to trust his wife. It was a Thursday. I left the office at 5:30 p.m., a rare occurrence, but a migraine was pounding behind my eyes. I was in no shape to cook. I decided I'd swing by Giovanni's and pick up some takeout. Our Friday night, just on a Thursday. I parked across the street and was about to call in the order when I saw her. She was sitting inside, at our table, the one in the quiet corner by the window. My heart lurched. She must have had the same idea, but she wasn't alone. A man sat across from her. He was younger than me, maybe late 40s, with a full head of dark hair and a suit that cost more than my monthly car payment. He was leaning forward, his hand covering hers on the table. As I watched, frozen on the sidewalk, she laughed. It was a bright, genuine laugh, the one I hadn't heard in our house for a very long time. I couldn't move. People brushed past me, annoyed. A car honked. I just stood there, watching my wife touch another man's hand in our restaurant. Finally, my legs unlocked. I didn't go in. I didn't call. I just walked back to my car and drove home. I sat in the living room in the dark. I didn't turn on a light, didn't turn on the TV. I just sat in my armchair and waited. The grandfather clock in the hall chimed 9, then 10. At 11:15 p.m., her car pulled into the driveway. The front door opened. "Eli, are you home? Why are all the lights off?" I flicked on the lamp beside me. She jumped, her hand flying to her chest. "Eli, you scared me to death." "You're late," I said. My voice sounded hollow. "Oh, yes. I was out with Yvonne. We went to that new sushi place downtown. You know how she gets talking." The lie was perfect. Smooth, practiced, delivered without a hint of hesitation. She didn't even blink. I could have confronted her. I could have screamed, "I saw you at Giovanni's!" But I didn't. In that moment, I realized the truth was a boulder I wasn't strong enough to lift. If I said it out loud, it would become real. It would shatter everything, so I swallowed the words. They tasted like ash. "That's good," I said, my voice tight. "I'm glad you had fun. Are you okay? You look pale." "Just a migraine. I'm going to bed." I walked past her, avoiding her eyes, avoiding the scent of her new perfume. I didn't sleep a wink. A week went by. A horrible, tense week where I pretended everything was normal. I made the coffee. We had our toast. But I was watching her. Every text, every call she took in the other room. "It's just Claire," she'd say. "Her mother's not well." One afternoon, she was in the shower. I was putting away laundry in our bedroom. Her phone, lying on the nightstand, lit up. I didn't mean to look, but the name on the screen caught my eye. It was just a single letter. D. The message preview was right below it. "Can't stop thinking about last night. You are." The screen went dark before I could read the rest. My hands started to tremble. Dia, the man in the restaurant. It was real. It was all real. My 32-year marriage was a lie. I sat on the edge of the bed, the sound of the shower hissing in the background, and I felt the floor drop out from under me. I went to my home office and closed the door. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type. "Private investigator near me." I scrolled past the flashy ads and found a name that sounded solid. Javi Pena. Pena Investigations. Former police detective. Discreet, professional. I grabbed my car keys, walked out the front door, and drove to the end of our street. I parked under a tree and dialed his number. A gruff, professional voice answered. "Pena. My name is Elias Thorne. I need to hire you. I think my wife is having an affair." The words felt foreign, like I was reading a script from a bad movie. "Meet me tomorrow, 10 a.m., the Copperpot Diner on Elm. I'll be in a back booth." He hung up. The Copperpot was a nondescript place that smelled of stale coffee and fried food. Javier Pena was exactly as his voice suggested. He was in his 50s, with a weathered face, sharp eyes that missed nothing, and a suit that was purely functional. I slid into the booth. "Mr. Pena." "Mr. Thorne, coffee?" I shook my head. All right, tell me what you've got. Don't give me emotion. Give me facts. I laid it out. The phone, the late nights, the new clothes, the bistro sighting, the D notification. I spoke in a low monotone, forcing the emotion from my voice. Javier listened, taking notes in a small spiral notebook. She's not an amateur, he said when I finished. The D is classic. The excuses are common. But the bistro sighting was sloppy. So you'll take the case? I'll take it. My rate is $5,000 for the first week. $250 an hour after that, plus expenses. I'll need a photo of her, her car, and her typical schedule. It was a staggering amount of money. It was a huge chunk of the private savings I'd kept in a separate account. My rainy day fund. It felt like a monsoon was on the horizon. Fine, I said. I pulled out my checkbook and wrote the check. Find him. I need to know who he is. I'll find him, Javier said, pocketing the check. I'll be in touch. I spent the next week living on a razor's edge. Every text message, every phone call made my heart hammer. I pretended to be the same dependable Elias. I made coffee, I went to work. But inside, I was a wreck. Javier's first report came via a secure email link at the end of the week. Subject followed to Friends of the Library charity dinner at the downtown Marriott. I clicked the link. The photos were clear. There was Nora, smiling, holding a glass of wine. She was talking to a group of women, including her friend Claire. She was networking, shaking hands. She looked every bit the respectable wife of a senior manager. The report continued. Subject remained at the event from 7 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. Spoke with multiple individuals, male and female. No contact with the man you described. Subject then drove directly home. The email ended with a blunt assessment. The bistro sighting may have been an innocent meeting with a colleague. There is currently no evidence of infidelity. Please advise if you wish to continue the surveillance. My stomach turned. $5,000. Gone. I felt like a complete fool, an old, jealous idiot. Had I imagined it all? Had I built this entire sordid fantasy out of a single misunderstood laugh in a restaurant? I closed the laptop, my face burning with shame. That night, I was a ghost. Nora noticed my mood. Eli, you've been so quiet all week. Is everything all right at work? Just a big project. Stressful, I lied. I felt defeated. I was ready to call Javier and tell him to drop it, to accept that I was the one who was crazy. Later that night, I went downstairs for a glass of water. Nora was in the study, a room she rarely used. The door was ajar. I heard her voice, and it stopped me cold. It wasn't her normal voice. It was low, intimate, a velvety purr I hadn't heard in decades. I know, baby, I know. It was so boring. I had to pretend to care about those old fossils all night. A pause. But it worked. He's completely off the scent. He's been moping around for days. My blood turned to ice. He's completely off the scent. She wasn't talking to Yvonne or Claire. Yes, Palm Springs is all set, she continued. I can't wait. I'll tell him it's a spa trip with Claire. He'll buy it. He buys everything. She laughed. That same bright laugh from the bistro. I'll see you Tuesday, Dee. I miss you so much. I backed away from the door, my hands clenched into fists. She knew. She knew I was suspicious, and she played me. She'd staged the entire charity dinner. She had used my $5,000 against me. I stormed into my office, my hands shaking with a fury I didn't know I possessed. I opened my laptop and wired Javier the last $10,000 from my private savings. Then I called him. Pina. It's Thorne. She played us. She knew she was being followed. She staged the whole thing. There was a silence on the other end. Then a low chuckle. She's better than I thought. She's going to Palm Springs with him. She's calling him D. I just sent you the rest of my savings. I want you to find out who D is, and I want you to burn him to the ground. For 15 grand, Mr. Thorne, Javier said, his voice all business again. I'll find out his blood type. Javier, his professional pride now fully engaged, went to work. He didn't waste time with surveillance. He went for the data. He pulled flight manifests, hotel reservations, and car rentals for Palm Springs. 3 days later, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Meet me. Same place. 1 hour. I was at the diner before he was. I was vibrating with a toxic mix of dread and anticipation. Javier slid into the booth and dropped a thick manila envelope on the table. He's good, Javier said, signaling the waitress for coffee. But not good enough. His name is Donovan Jennings. 47, divorced. Works in high-end real estate. He slid a photo across the table. It was him. The man from the bistro. He was walking into a boutique hotel downtown, his hand on the small of Nora's back. My wife. This was yesterday, Javier said. While you were at work. She told you she was at a yoga retreat, right? I couldn't speak. I just nodded. He's not just a fling, Mr. Thorne. This has been going on for a long time. They're professionals. He pushed the envelope toward me. It's all in there. Photos, dates, times, and a USB drive with the digital copies. My advice? Get a lawyer. A shark. I picked up the envelope. It felt like it weighed 100 pounds. Thank you, Javier. It's my job. Call me if you need anything else. He stood up, left a 5 on the table for his coffee, and walked out. I sat there for a long time, staring at the evidence of my life's destruction. I drove home in a daze. I hid the envelope in the bottom drawer of my office desk, underneath a stack of old tax returns, and locked it. I needed to think. I needed a plan. But all I felt was a cold, paralyzing rage. I couldn't look at her that night. I pretended my migraine was back and went to bed early, lying with my back to her, rigid as a board. Eli, what is wrong with you? Nora asked, her voice laced with irritation. You've been acting like a stranger for weeks. I'm just tired, Nora, I mumbled. You're always just tired. She huffed and turned off the light. The next morning, I went to my office before work. I don't know why. A sixth sense. I knelt and put the key in the desk lock. It was already unlocked. I felt a jolt of panic. I pulled the drawer open. The tax returns were there, slightly askew. But the manila envelope and the USB drive were gone. I stormed upstairs. Nora was in the kitchen, calmly making a smoothie, her phone pressed to her ear. Yes, Yvonne. It sounds wonderful. I ripped the phone from her hand and threw it against the wall. It shattered. Eli, what the hell is wrong with you? Are you insane? Where is it? I yelled, my voice cracking. The envelope from my desk. Where is it? Nora's face, which had been a mask of shock, suddenly went perfectly calm. She smoothed her silk robe. Oh, that? The one you had hidden? I was cleaning your office, Eli. It's such a mess. It looked like old work papers, so I threw it out with the recycling. The truck already came this morning. She smiled, a cold, reptilian smile. Was it important? I stared at her. The audacity. The sheer, cold-blooded nerve. She had found it, checked it, and destroyed it. And now she was daring me to challenge her. I was back at square one. I had no photos, no proof, nothing but my word against hers. and she knew it. You're lying, I stammered. Elias, you're scaring me. First you're sneaking around. Now you're screaming and breaking things. Maybe you should talk to someone. You're clearly under too much stress. She was painting me as the unstable one, the paranoid, angry husband. I was trapped. She had outmaneuvered me again. I just stared at her, my hands opening and closing at my sides. Then I turned, grabbed my briefcase, and walked out the door. I drove not to work, but to a park. I sat on a bench and watched the ducks, my mind racing. She was smarter than I was. She was more ruthless. She had destroyed the evidence and was now building a narrative that I was losing my mind. I couldn't win this way. She would lie, she would manipulate, and she would make me look like a fool. Then Javier's words came back to me. He's not just a fling. This wasn't just about sex. It was about something else. What? She's better than I thought. Palm Springs. The new clothes, the dinners, the hotels. Where was the money coming from? Nora hadn't worked in 15 years. Her allowance was generous, but not that generous. I pulled out my phone and called Javier. Thorne, I'm guessing this isn't a social call. She found it, I said, my voice dead. She found the envelope and the drive. She destroyed it all. She's claiming I'm unstable. There was a long pause. Damn, she was good. So the photos are gone. Gone. I have nothing. You're wrong, Javier said. She can burn photos. She can't burn bank records. This Donovan Jennings, he's in real estate. That's a cash-heavy business. And she's been with him for a while. You don't keep a guy like that on the hook with just charm. A cold dread settled over me. What are you saying? I'm saying this isn't just about sex, Mr. Thorne. It's about money. Your money. Give me access to your joint accounts. I was the primary account holder. I had opened the account before we were married. My paycheck was the only thing that had ever fed it. I'll text you the login information right now. Find it, Javier. Find the money. This time, it only took Javier a day. He didn't need photos. He just needed a spreadsheet. He called me. You need to see this in person. My office, now. Javier's office was a small, cluttered room above a bail bondsman. He didn't waste time on pleasantries. He spun his laptop around. Your joint checking account. Look at these transfers. He pointed to a series of transactions, once or twice a month, for the last 24 months. They were all labeled consulting fee or property MGMT. The recipient, DJ Holdings, LLC. DJ Holdings, I read. Donovan Jennings, Javier confirmed. I ran the LLC. It's his. She's been paying him. Look at the amounts. 500 here, 1,000 there, 2,000. He clicked another tab. And your joint credit card. The one she uses. Look. Charge after charge. The Royale Hotel. Armand's Bistro. Saks Fifth Avenue, perfume. Victoria's Secret. Hundreds of dollars, twice a week, every week. Javier had a final summary page open. I tallied it up. In the last 2 years, she has transferred $20,000 directly to his company. And she has spent another $20,000 on hotels, gifts, and dinners related to the affair. $40,000, Mr. Thorne. She stole $40,000 of your money to finance this. I stared at the screen. The numbers swam. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a long-term, calculated financial siphoning of my life's work. This wasn't just infidelity. This was theft. She didn't just destroy the photos, I said, my voice dangerously quiet. She destroyed the wrong evidence. This is better. Yes, it is, Javier said. Adultery makes a judge sympathetic. Grand larceny makes them angry. Now you're not just a husband, you're a victim of a crime. Get a lawyer. And this time, don't just get a shark. Get a great white. Javier knew a guy, Julius Croft. He wasn't just a family law attorney. He was a financial litigator who specialized in high-asset divorces where one party was hiding funds. His office was on the 30th floor of a steel and glass tower downtown. Julius Croft was younger than I expected, maybe mid-40s, with sharp features and an impeccable suit. He didn't offer coffee. He offered a firm handshake and pointed to a chair. Mr. Thorne, Javier Pena spoke highly of you. He also told me you've had a difficult time. Show me what you have. I didn't bring a manila envelope. I brought a hard drive. Mr. Pena's full financial report, bank statements, credit card receipts, LLC records for a Mr. Donovan Jennings. My wife has stolen $40,000 from our joint accounts to pay for her affair. Julius plugged the drive into his computer. His face remained perfectly neutral, but his eyes moved with terrifying speed. He clicked. He scrolled. He read. For 10 solid minutes, the only sound was the click of his mouse. Finally, he leaned back. Mr. Thorne, this is beautiful. It's the cleanest case of financial malfeasance I've seen in years. The consulting fee label is a rookie mistake. It shows intent to defraud. So what do we do? Javier told you she destroyed photographic evidence? I nodded. Good. Let her think she's safe. Let her think you're the unstable one with no proof. We aren't going to file for divorce based on adultery. We are going to strike based on this. He tapped the monitor. This is our weapon. Julius Croft laid out the strategy. It was cold, precise, and brutal. Step 1, he said, holding up a finger. You go to your bank this afternoon. As the primary and sole contributing account holder, you will close all joint accounts, every single one. You will transfer every penny to new accounts, in your name only. You will have new debit and credit cards issued. You will cut off her financial access completely. As of today, she is insolvent. Can I do that? You can, and you will. Step 2. I will prepare the divorce petition. It will cite irreconcilable differences, but the attached schedule of assets will detail every dollar she has misappropriated. We will file for a full and unequal division of assets in your favor, citing her financial fraud. Step 3, he continued, is the most important. You do nothing. You go home. You continue to play the part of the beaten, confused husband. You don't tell her what you've done. You let her walk into the trap. We wait for her to make her next move. I left his office feeling a strange, cold calm. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was a strategist. I drove straight to my bank. An hour later, 32 years of shared finances were severed. Every dime I had ever earned was now secure, under my name and my name alone. I got home. Nora was on the sofa, filing her nails, watching television. She looked up as I came in, her eyes wary. Feeling better? She asked, a little too sweetly. A bit, I said. Just tired. I went through the motions. I made dinner. We ate in silence. I could feel her watching me, trying to gauge my state of mind. She thought she had won. She thought I was a broken old man. Over dessert, she dropped the bomb. By the way, darling, Claire and I are going to take that spa trip we talked about. Next week, just for a few days. We found a great deal in Palm Springs. You know, to de-stress. I really need a break. She was going to meet him. She was going to use my money, or what she thought was my money, to do it. The timing was perfect. I summoned the best performance of my life. I looked up and gave her a tired smile. "Nora, that's wonderful. You deserve it. You've been under so much stress lately, with me." Her relief was visible. She visibly relaxed. "Oh, thank you, Eli. You're so understanding." "Of course," I said. "Have a wonderful time." I went to my office, closed the door, and texted Javier. "It's on. She's leaving for Palm Springs next week. She thinks it's with Claire. Confirm it." Javier's text came back 2 days later. "Reservation confirmed. Palm Springs Oasis Resort. Luxury King Suite. 1 week. Booked under the name Donovan Jennings. Paid for with his credit card. Looks like he's footing the bill for this one." I smiled. Of course he was. She couldn't. Her cards wouldn't have worked. She must have been furious. She must have had to beg him to pay for it. The trap was set. Julius filed the papers. The clock was ticking. Nora left on a Monday morning. She packed her newest, most expensive suitcase. "I'll miss you," she lied, kissing my cheek. "I'll miss you too," I lied back. The moment her taxi turned the corner, my week began. My first call was to a locksmith. "I need every lock on my house changed, immediately." An hour later, new deadbolts were in place. My second call was to the utility companies. Electricity, water, gas, internet. "I need to remove my wife's name from all my accounts. Effective immediately." My third call was to a moving and storage company. "I need a team for packing. I'm clearing out one person's belongings." For 3 days, the house was a hive of activity. 2 men, quiet and efficient, packed every single thing that belonged to Nora. Her clothes, her shoes, her makeup, her books, her charity awards. Everything went into a box, was labeled, and was stacked neatly in the garage. 27 boxes in total. When they were done, the house felt empty. The closets were bare. The bathroom counter was clear. It was the cleanest, most peaceful my home had felt in years. Julius had warned me. She's a narcissist. When she's cornered, she will lash out. She will try to destroy you, your reputation, everything. We need leverage. I was paranoid after losing the photos. I needed an insurance policy. On Friday, I sat at my desk and printed out a second, complete copy of the financial evidence. The bank statements with the red circles, the LLC records, the hotel charges, the Palm Springs reservation confirmation. I put it all in a large white envelope. I addressed it to Nora's mother, with a CC to her 2 brothers. I wrote a short, factual letter. "Dear Margaret, I am writing to you with the deepest regret to inform you of the reasons for my divorce from Nora. Enclosed, you will find financial documents detailing the theft of over $40,000 from our accounts, which she used to finance a 2-year affair with a man named Donovan Jennings. I am heartbroken, and I am sorry you have to learn of it this way." I sealed it and placed it on my desk. This was my ace in the hole. If she fought me, if she tried to drag this out, if she tried to slander me, her entire family would know exactly who she was. Sunday afternoon, the house was spotless. I was sitting in my favorite armchair, wearing a new shirt, reading a book on the Punic Wars. At 2 p.m., Julius Croft arrived, his leather briefcase in hand. He looked around the empty living room. "Minimalist. I like it. You ready, Mr. Thorne?" "I'm ready, Mr. Croft." We sat in silence, 2 partners in a corporate takedown. We waited. At 5:15 p.m., a taxi pulled up. I heard the car door slam, heard the click of her suitcase wheels on the walkway. Then, the sound I had been waiting for, the scrape of a key in a lock that no longer recognized it. Silence. Another scrape, more frantic this time. Then pounding. Eli! Eli, are you there? My key isn't working. The door is stuck. I stood up slowly. I walked to the door. This was it. The end of my old life. I took a deep breath and opened it. Nora was standing on the porch, tan from the Palm Springs sun, her face a mask of annoyance. Finally, my key must be broken. You need to... Her words died in her throat. She saw me, my calm expression, my new shirt. Then she looked past me and saw Julius Croft, standing in the living room in his impeccable suit, holding his briefcase. Her face went pale beneath the tan. Who is that? Nora, I said, my voice perfectly level. Please come in. This is Julius Croft. He's my attorney. We have to talk. She walked in, dragging her suitcase, her eyes darting between me and Julius. Your attorney? Eli, what is going on? What is this? Please sit down, Nora. I'm not sitting down until you tell me what's happening. Sit down, I said. It wasn't a request. The tone in my voice, one she had never heard, made her flinch. She slowly sank onto the edge of the sofa. I walked to the coffee table and picked up a black, sealed envelope. First, I said, I have to tell you what I did this week. I changed all the locks. That's why your key doesn't work. I also closed all our joint bank accounts and credit cards. All the money is now in new accounts, in my name only. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. I also had all of your personal belongings packed. They are in the garage. There are 27 boxes in total. I placed the black envelope on the coffee table in front of her. And this is for you. She stared at the envelope as if it were a bomb. Her hands trembled as she reached for it. She tore it open. The first document on top was a bank statement. A red circle was drawn around a $2,000 transfer to DJ Holdings, LLC. Where did you get this? She whispered. Keep looking, I said. She pulled out the next page, and the next. The credit card receipts from the Royale Hotel. The printout of Donovan's LLC. Her hands were shaking so violently the papers rattled. His name is Donovan Jennings, I said, my voice flat. 47, real estate. You've given him $20,000 in consulting fees and spent another $20,000 on hotels and gifts. $40,000, Nora. My money. Eli, I can explain. How was Palm Springs? I cut her off. Did you and Claire have a good time? Or was it you and Donovan in the luxury suite he booked? The one he had to pay for, I assume, since your credit cards were all declined on Monday. That must have been an awkward conversation. The color drained from her face. She was cornered. She looked from me to Julius. She tried to switch tactics. You bastard! She shrieked, lurching to her feet. After 32 years, you're just going to throw me out with nothing? You'll leave me homeless? Julius Croft spoke for the first time, his voice cutting through her hysteria. You have two options, Mrs. Thorne. Please sit down. Reluctantly, she sat. Option 1, Julius said, opening his briefcase. You sign these divorce papers. They are already filed. You will accept the terms, which are that you leave this house today. You will make no claim on Mr. Thorne's assets, his pension, or this property. In exchange, Mr. Thorne will not pursue criminal charges for fraud and theft. This remains a private, quiet divorce. Or what? Nora sneered, her bravado returning. Or you'll what? You have no proof of anything else, just numbers. I'll say you were controlling. I'll say I was scared. I almost felt sorry for her. She had no idea. I walked to my desk, picked up the white envelope, and held it up. Or this. Option 2. You refuse to sign. I turned the envelope so she could read the addressee. This contains copies of everything you're holding, Nora. The bank transfers, the hotel receipts, the Palm Springs reservation, and a very detailed letter from me. It's addressed to your mother and your brothers. Her face turned to ash. You wouldn't. She has a weak heart, Eli. This would kill her. You should have thought of that, I said, my voice as cold as steel. Before you stole $40,000 from me. You should have thought of that while you were lying to my face every single day for 2 years. I took a step closer. You think you can paint me as the villain? You think you can go to your friends and your family and tell them I'm an unstable, cruel old man who threw you out? Go ahead. But they will all know exactly what you did. Your choice, Nora. Sign the papers and leave with your boxes, or don't sign, and I'll drop this in the mail on my way to work tomorrow. She stared at the white envelope in my hand. She looked at the divorce papers on the table. She looked at me. She was looking for an ounce of pity, a crack in my resolve. She found nothing. She collapsed, all the fight gone, and broke into racking sobs. You're a monster, Eli. No, I said. I'm just the man you underestimated. Julius, the pen. Julius Croft placed a heavy, gold-plated fountain pen on the table. Nora flinched. Defeated, her hands shaking, she picked it up. Where? She whispered. Julius calmly pointed to each signature line. Here, here, and here. I watched her sign away 32 years of our life. Each stroke of the pen was a victory. It was the sound of my chains breaking. When she finished, she dropped the pen. It's done, Julius said, gathering the documents. I'll have these filed first thing in the morning. Mrs. Thorne, you have 1 week to arrange for the pickup of your belongings in the garage. After that, they will be considered abandoned property. Julius packed his briefcase, nodded to me, and left. I walked him to the door. When I turned back, Nora was still sitting on the sofa, a broken woman. You need to go, I said. Now? Tonight? Eli, I have nowhere to go. I have no money. Call Donovan, I said, pulling out my phone. I'm sure he'll be happy to put you up. He's not answering my calls, she whispered, a new wave of panic in her eyes. Not since the cards were declined. That sounds like a personal problem, I said. I'm calling you a cab. I called the cab. They said it would be 10 minutes. We stood in the living room, two strangers who had once shared a bed. She wouldn't look at me. When the cab honked outside, she stood up. Can I at least? Your boxes are in the garage. You can take what you can carry. She struggled, dragging 2 of the 27 boxes to the front porch. Her new expensive suitcase was still by the door. She dragged that out too. She stood on the porch, a refugee from the life she had systematically destroyed. She looked at me one last time. Eli, I'm sorry. Goodbye, Nora. I closed the door. I didn't watch her leave. I walked back to my living room, sat in my armchair, and listened as the cab pulled away. The silence that filled the house was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. The next day, my brother Milo came over. He didn't call first. He just showed up with a bag of coffee and 2 cups. Heard you did some house cleaning, he said, handing me a cup. News travels fast. Nora called Mom, Milo said, his face grim. She was hysterical. Said you'd gone crazy, changed the locks, and threw her out on the street for no reason. And what did Mom say? She told Nora that she's known you for 63 years and you've never done anything without a damn good reason. Then she hung up and called me. Milo looked at me. I'm proud of you, Eli. A week later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Is this Elias Thorne? It is. Mr. Thorne, my name is Yvonne. I was Nora's friend. Her voice was shaking with anger. I need you to know. She's been telling everyone that I was the one having an affair, and that you got confused and threw her out by mistake. She used me as an alibi for 2 years, and now she's trying to ruin my reputation. I wanted you to know the truth. Thank you, Yvonne, I said. But I already know the truth. That's all that matters. I didn't hear from Nora again. She sent a moving van to pick up her boxes a few days later. She didn't come herself. 2 weeks after the signing, I got one last call from Javier Pena. Just thought you'd like a final update, Mr. Thorne. What is it, Javier? Donovan Jennings. Looks like he dumped Nora the second he realized the money was gone. A source told me he called her a bad investment and told her to get lost. He's already been seen with another woman. Older, richer. I should have felt triumphant. I should have felt a surge of satisfaction. But I just felt tired. And then a slow, creeping sense of relief. It was all finally over. She had destroyed our marriage for a man who saw her as a line on a bank statement. Thank you, Javier, I said, for everything. Send me your final bill. No charge for that last bit, he said. Professional courtesy. Take care of yourself, Mr. Thorne. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized by a judge. A 10-minute hearing, a stamp on a document, 32 years erased. I was 63, and for the first time in my adult life, I was completely on my own. It was terrifying, and it was wonderful. I started rediscovering Elias Thorne. I had forgotten him. I started cooking again, not just functional meals, but complex recipes that took hours. I bought a set of new knives and a bottle of expensive olive oil. I made an osso buco that was, frankly, incredible. I ate it alone, with a glass of good wine, and enjoyed every single bite. I started reading again. Not just the financial news, but history, biographies. I joined a gym. I lost 15 pounds. My brother Milo started coming over for dinner every Sunday. We'd watch the game, drink a beer, and actually talk. 6 months after that day, I was in the grocery store. It was a Tuesday night. I was in the produce aisle trying to decide between a red or a yellow pepper. And then I saw her. She was in the frozen foods aisle, pushing a cart with a few half-empty boxes of diet meals. She looked diminished. Thinner, yes, but she looked tired. Worn. Her clothes were simple, drab. The vibrant, exciting woman who had laughed in the bistro was gone. This was what was left. Our eyes met across the aisle. I saw a flicker of recognition in her face. Panic. Shame. She started to say something, to maybe walk toward me. I just looked at her. I didn't smile. I didn't scowl. I just looked. And in that moment, I realized I felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no pain, no regret. Just nothing. She was a stranger in a grocery store. She must have seen it in my face. She flinched, looked away, and quickly pushed her cart down another aisle, disappearing behind a display of ice cream. I turned back to the peppers. I picked the red one and moved on. This morning, I woke up at 6 a.m. The house was quiet. I went downstairs and made my coffee. The aroma filled the kitchen. I took my mug out to the back patio. The sun was just starting to peek over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. I thought about the man I was a year ago, the man who would have been in a hurry, making a second mug, worried about someone else's schedule. That man was gone. I had lost my wife. I had lost 32 years of what I thought was my life, but I had gained my peace. I had gained my self-respect, and I had gained my freedom. I'm 63. I don't know what the rest of my life holds, but as I sat there, sipping my coffee in the quiet of my own house, watching the sun come up, I knew one thing for certain. I had won. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.